Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where I just took off my black cat mask and took off my wig, and now you guys get to see me looking normal. I know, crazy. Now I still have some spirit gum still here on my nose that I'm gonna have to try to figure out, and I think I probably still hope I didn't get it in my eyebrow. That would be so weird. I don't know how. I guess I just used this remover stuff to get the stuff out of my eyebrow if I got it over there. Anyway, we are now actually going to talk about a book that I just started because I got the second book of this series, and I realized I owned the first book, had the audiobook, had the hardback, never actually read it. So because I got the second book in my NetGalley account, I had to go ahead and read this one. So, we are talking about Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro, or Miro, M-I-R-O. And we're going to put it over here. I actually like how simple and slightly, I guess it's just, kind of simplistic this cover is, because I think it continues to give a slightly ominous, almost slightly gothic vibe to it, which I'm here for. If you guys know me in general, if y'all have been here, if y'all have listened to me talk about books, then you probably know I am drawn to, I love cozy and I love spooky. Like, look, I look, cozy spooky mug right here. I am about to, I just ordered some stuff on Amazon, and I ordered stuff from a couple other places too. I cannot wait to redo my background for September and October, and then maybe we'll do it for Christmas too. I wonder if I have enough supplies to do some sort of Christmas vibe. I guess we'll see. I am always so inspired by this one particular girl who does tattoo reviews. I think her name is Treacle Tats. She has the most gorgeous background. I love it. And she's got this gallery wall of pictures, and I love staring at her stuff. It is so cute. Anyway, I love anybody who has takes the time to zhuzh up their background and change it up. Now, I know mine doesn't really change that often, but I guess we'll see when September comes around if we get some spooky vibes. I guess we're gonna see. But I'm still going to do one more episode for the September TBRs. I may release that the first part of September instead of the ending of August. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess it's also going to determine how much time I have and my scheduling with going to Dragon Con, which is that last weekend of August / going into September. So we'll see when I get it scheduled. Crossing fingers. But let's dive into Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro, the Talents Trilogy #1, because I have book #2 on deck for September, and it's called Bringer of Dust. So we're going to dive into #1 and see how we get to Bringer of Dust. Charlie Ovid, despite surviving a brutal childhood in Mississippi, doesn't have a scar on him. His body heals itself, whether he wants it to or not. Marlowe, a foundling from a railway car, shines with a strange bluish light. He can melt or mend flesh. When Alice Quick, a jaded detective with her own troubled past, is recruited to escort them to safety, all three begin a journey into the nature of difference and belonging, and the shadowy edges of the monstrous. What follows is a story of wonder and betrayal from the gaslit streets of London and the wooden theater of the Meiji era of Tokyo. It's kind of difficult when I don't audiobook something sometimes. I actually physically read this book even though I have the audiobook, so I apologize in advance for pronouncing things wrong. Sometimes when you just read them on the page and you don't hear someone else say them, it's you think you say it in your head and then it doesn't come out right. Era Tokyo, to an eerie estate outside Edinburgh where other children with gifts like Kamako, a witch child and twister of dust, and Ribs, a girl who cloaks herself in invisibility, are forced to combat the forces that threaten their safety. There, the world of the dead and the world of the living threaten to collide. With this newfound family, Kamako, Marlowe, Charlie, Ribs, and the rest of the talents discover the truth about their abilities, and as secrets within the Institute unfurl, a new question arises. What truly defines a monster? Riveting in its scope, exquisitely written, Ordinary Monsters presents a catastrophic vision of the Victorian world and the gifted, broken children who must save it. So, first things first, I was drawn to this book because it sounded like Miss Peregrine's Home for Children, for Miss Peregrine's, but a little bit with a more mature vibe, because it did have like sort of gothic horror. It did say that it was a little bit more adult, and so it wasn't as YA as Miss Peregrine's Home for is it Imaginary Children? It's been so long since I read that book, and kind of wish we got a new movie for that. I think it could have been really well done. They just didn't do it the way I was hoping. Anyway, we're not talking about that one. We're talking about this one. I think Ordinary Monsters was really well done. I loved the eerie vibe upon first picking this book up. We have this girl who is more like, she's about 16, and she's running away because she is pretty much just been like essayed by her employer, and now she's offed him because she was protecting herself. She's gotten on a train, and she finds this infant kind of glowing blue in the train. Well, from that point on, like, she kind of becomes his mom because she discovers that the mom has passed in the train car, and so the infant is by itself. So she takes the infant and she kind of more or less adopts him into her life. Well, that's kind of where we start the story, and I actually really like that because, yes, it's dark and it's bitter and it's a little emotional and there's a lot of angst and things like that going on, but in a much more mature way than some other books kind of have done it in the past. I would definitely say I gave this book 4.5 stars, so I might as well just go ahead and round it up to 5. And I mean, look, I've already got book 2 in my NetGalley account. I must have been super excited to like go ahead and actually I requested it, and I was like, wait, this looks so familiar, and it's kind of like this purplish color. So when I went back and looked, I was like, oh crap, I have this first book on my shelf and in my Audible. I just don't know why I've not dived into it yet. So I went ahead and I like read it. I loved it. Like, I thought it was great. Yeah, it's long, and I would say that that's probably like it's one of its downsides is that, does it need to be 600 plus pages? No, probably not. I think we probably could have worked on some of the pacing and some of the drawn out points. We could have made them a little bit more, I guess, I don't want to say clear, but we could have made them more succinct to make the story feel as though the pacing were a little bit better. I don't feel like it needed to be as slow and plotting as it was at some points. Now, there is a large list of characters in this book, so the book does try to kind of give each character their due, but maybe we could have saved some of that for the next book. And again, I haven't picked that. I mean, I have it in my NetGalley account. I haven't opened it yet because I want to save it until I'm done with this review, and then I'm going to go over there and dive into that. Now, I did get that one on, I think it's on my tablet as an audiobook. So I'm actually very excited because even though I got the first one as an audiobook in my Audible account, I don't think I ever listened to it because I didn't remember it when I read it, like physically read it. And I spent a little bit of time like by the pool, but you can't really see too much sun. Anyway, with all of that being said, some of the youth feel a little familiar if you've read any of Miss Peregrine, and I think that's it. It's just children with magical abilities, and also if you've read like House on the Cerulean Sea or anything like that, you get this story about children with these abilities that sometimes are hunted and sometimes are like, all these different things related to children with magical abilities, and some of that feels really familiar. This book is a lot darker than those books. Like House on the Cerulean Sea is definitely not dark. That is a cozy, warm hug of love in a mug. I love that book so much. I am so ready for Somewhere Beyond the Sea, I believe is the next one in the series for that one. Cannot wait for the full version of that book to come out because like TJ Klune just does an amazing job. However, going back to this one, I think I struggled a little bit, just like I said, with the pacing, with so much girth going on. And I found myself just kind of flipping a couple pages just to kind of get past some of the slower points or some of the, what I would call as just general exposition of like what's going on in a scene. Like, I don't need 2 to 3 pages of what's going on in a scene. Just like tell me what's going on. I can imagine it and let me move on. But um I really cannot wait to dive into the second book. I think it's going to be so incredibly good. I think the world building was really well done. But we do have the stage set now. I'm hoping that when I get to book 2, since the stage has been set, the characters have been introduced, we don't have too much exposition to have to do. We don't have to do any sort of triaging of what did we do to get to this point. We're there, and so now we can kind of move forward. um, I mean, I think this book has some pretty, I don't want to say they're emotional points, but they have some pretty hard hitting scenes, especially when you get to Charlie, who is the kid from Mississippi, who, despite living such like the description says, a very brutal childhood, he doesn't have a scar on him because he heals so incredibly. Like, I would think like Superman rapidly, where, well, the bullets pop off Superman, but like maybe Wolverine, where the bullets go in and then like, but he's still okay. But the thing is Charlie feels it every time. He feels it. He bleeds. He feels the pain. His body just heals itself, but he has to go through that every time. And so I think that's a pretty, like, that's pretty, I don't want to say graphic, because I don't know if it's graphic, but it's hard to kind of wrap your brain around that this is a kid and he's being blamed for something that was an accident, and then he's put on trial, and then he is really he is put on the execution block only for it to not stick. And so now he's been found by this institute in Edinburgh who has had him on their radar, and they find him more or less after he's been convicted. But that's just it. Is I felt so bad because, I'm sorry, I used to live in Louisiana in the Mississippi area. And I know that time and period was a terrible time and period to be of mixed race, and so I can only imagine that this was an incredibly, like, for me, this was an incredibly hard scene to read about. And that's just one of the scenes that I feel was really hard hitting in this book. um, because you do, when it's dealing with kids, I feel like some things just hit a little bit harder, and that's something that tugs at my heartstrings. I don't have kids, I have dogs, but I have a niece and nephew. And so if I don't know, if the world were to change and X-Men were real and they got superpowers, I would probably try to do anything in my power to protect them from the world that would want to study them or to see them removed from it because they're different. Um, and I thought that, like, again, we've encountered books of children with magical powers in the past. I think where this book kind of shines a little bit more than those is the slightly more adult tones. Uh, the fact that it doesn't really pull its punches, doesn't hold back on being hard hitting. It is more adult, and the fact that it is more gothic-y and more horror-ish, and it does have that Victorian era vibe that you would get from a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Dorian Gray sort of book. That's the vibe you're going to feel in this book. So when I read the next book, I'm kind of hoping that I still have the same vibe. I'm still hoping that the author has stayed in that sort of gritty, horror-ish, gothic kind of niche. But I'm hoping that now we have all of that exposition and character development done and world building done, that we're able to move on with a well-paced story that hopefully takes us to some really great places. And that's what I'm looking forward to in Bringer of Dust, which comes out in September, and that is going to be on my September to be read list when I get around to recording that episode. I think I have, of the 15 books that I plan on reviewing for September, I think I have 13 of them already listed out for September. I just haven't actually found, I have 12 of them listed out, and 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, that I have to actually plan. So, gotta find out what those books are going to be. It might be one of my self-help books that are staring me in the face. Maybe I need to read a self-help book. Probably need a little bit. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I know I'm a mess half the time. But we come with coffee, we come with a good attitude, and we talk about books. Whether it's something that's up your alley or not, you have to decide that for yourself. I can only present you with the ones that I've encountered, my thoughts, and then let you go on your way to see what you think as well. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.